Okay, so this, of course, folks, is the Tetragrammaton. Now, the Tetragrammaton is a sort of a big theological name that probably German theologians had made up at some point, because a lot of theology was done in Germany early on, but probably not only in Germany. But anyways, Tetragrammaton refers to the four-letter name of God. Now, this is a very, very special, of course, name of God. Now, God goes by many different names, right? But there is only one that is the name of God, the covenantal name of God. Now, in Jewish tradition, we, out of the high respect of this name, we actually don't pronounce it, okay? Now, I know that that by itself could cause a lot of debate, folks. I'm not here to debate. I'm here just to share the little I know about Hebrew and try to get as much as you can out of that, okay? So, let me go ahead and read this section for you. Vayomer, and those of you who know the letters already, you can follow along. Vayomer Elohim. Now, this is the famous word that you also heard, other than this word that is sometimes translated as Yahweh or the Lord, or it could be replaced in Hebrew out of great honor of that name for another word like Adonai, for example. Adonai literally means something like my Lord, my master, something like that. But this word also is the word that you already heard many, many times, Elohim. Now, what's interesting about this is that in the ancient time, Elohim, God, this was not the same thing as we mean by God today. So when we say God, we mean someone who is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere present. But back in the ancient times, folks, and that includes what we find in Old Testament and what we find in New Testament. By the way, I don't quite like this Old Testament, New Testament. It's one book. It's one book. It's one revelation of God. I don't like this division separations, but I use it so that we can kind of quickly understand what we're talking about, so that we can sync up, right? So in the Old and in the New Testament, the way that the word God is used, whether it's in Greek theos or it's Elohim in Hebrew, is very, very different from today. Back then, this could be news for you, okay? Just make a note, and maybe later on you can follow up, either with me or with other teachers. But in the biblical time, the word Elohim, the word God or gods, did not really refer to our concept, monotheistic concept of God. It referred it was not a description of how great this one God is, but it referred really to a place of residence. What do I mean by that? Well, in the ancient times, people understood things very simply. People dwelt on earth. Okay? Did gods dwell on earth? No, they did not. Where did gods dwell? In heaven, God or gods. So Elohim was really, there was many, many different Elohim. The Elohim of the Bible, the Tetragrammaton, the Lord of the Bible, was understood in the biblical text to be God above all gods, Lord above all lords. So back then the ancients didn't really think that there was only one God. They defined God differently. Anybody who lived up top in heaven were basically Elohim. They were the powerful heavenly beings, okay? It didn't really mean that they were all the same, okay? Some of them were greater. There's different gradation of angels, for example. We call them today angels. Back then they were called Elohim. When you're talking about the plural, of course, when you're talking about singular, of course it is referring to the God that is above all other Elohim, God above all gods, Lord of lords, and so on, okay? Here we go. Congratulate me. It took me about 5 minutes just to get through the second word of whatever I was reading. Okay, so let me just continue. Vayomer Elohim, and God said. Now, why did I translate it as God said and not God's say? Because those of you, the Hebrew scholars, know that this ending, this plural ending, could mean that this is or God or gods. Well, the way you know that this is actually referring to only one God is because this verb here is in singular and not in plural. Now, later on, you will figure out how to do this yourself. Right now, this looks like I'm this unbelievable genius to the level of which you can never possibly get. Folks, this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. If our students who are, some of them 80, 90 years old, if they can do it, you can do it. I don't care what you're thinking. Anyone can do it. It's just a matter of having glue under your tuchus. Do you know the word tuchus? The butt, okay? I'm sitting on it. You gotta have glue under the tuchus. Look, look, some of you are thinking, well, maybe I should leave this to the rabbi, to the pastor, but let me just say this, that you don't, someone said it like this, you don't need to be great in order to start. You don't need to be great at something in order to start, but you need to start in order to get great at something. Did you get that? You don't need to be great in order to start, but you need to start in order to be great. Okay? So everything, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. All right, so Vayomer, I promise I'm going to go faster. Vayomer Elohim, and God said, El Moshe. Now this is the famous word for Moses. Moses, and of course you know this is not even a Hebrew word. Now it became a Hebrew word, but it was an Egyptian word. Why? Because Moshe got his word from Egypt, right? Which, by the way, the name Egypt in Mitzrayim in Hebrew means something like a place of limitation, like a jail place of sort. Now that isn't that nice to call Egypt the place of limitation, but that's how it is in Hebrew, right? So and God said unto Moses. So this is unto, okay, unto Moses. Now, this is, of course, the text that says that Moses says, listen, but they're going to ask me, who sent me? They would say, what is the name of this God who sent me? Now, why would Moses say that? Moses would say that because he knows that everybody in the ancient world believed that there were many, many gods. Remember, there was no such thing as God. Whether God exists or doesn't exist, or which ways lead to the one true God. This is modern ideas. Those ideas never existed in the ancient world. In the ancient world, all gods existed. Nobody doubted them. And so what Moses needed to be prepared is he needed to tell the Israelites who were slaves, which God out of this thousands, heaven dwellers, the place of residence. Remember, Elohim is a place, signifies place of residence. Okay, which one of them? And this is how God answers. Before, in other words, before he calls his name this, he says, my name is like this. Eheye asher eheye. Now, the best we know how to translate it is this: I am who I am. I am who I am. Isn't that interesting? In some way, God is saying that his name is best translated by a sentence. You know, there is no way to grasp fully what his name is other than to say that all of the universal being is included in that name. All right, he's the being. He is who he is. I am who I am. Did you ever sense an inner longing to hear and read the book of Genesis, Isaiah, Psalms in the original Hebrew? If so, you have come to the right place. The Israel Bible Center connects thousands of Bible, Hebrew, and Israel lovers from over 100 countries of the world to the magic of the Bible, associated Jewish writings, biblical languages, Jewish traditions, and the land of Israel through variety of crash courses, hot topic conferences, magazine articles, podcasts, and scholarly roundtable talks. Our program is built to be flexible and easy to follow, allowing our large international student body to be connected with Israel in a greater way. Rabbi Hillel, who lived before the birth of Messiah Jesus, once said, "Do not say, 'I will study when I have the time to study,' because you may never have the time to study." To help you to answer the rabbi's call, we launched an enrollment program. It will last for a limited time, where for entire week you will be able to experience Israel Bible Center absolutely free. So don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself and see what an impact being familiar with the Jewish context and culture of the Bible will have on you personally. To sign up, scroll down, fill out your information, and begin. See you in class very, very soon.